Welcome to Seagull Eagle, the podcast where two rivals meet, Crystal Palace and Brighton and Hove Albion, where both sides agree one thing: the referee hates us.
This week at Palace, 2-0 up with 5 minutes to go before half-time. We tried to see the game out from inside our own panic room. Feels less like a football club and more like a social experiment these days.
This week at Brighton, a lesson in how to take your chances at Anfield. And the usual late conceded goal at Villa leaves Albion out of the cup and with only 4 teams between us and the drop. Surely we'll be okay soon, won't we?
We'll discuss all of this and much, much more, because this is Seagull Eagle! All right, Neil, how are you? Feeling chirpy?
Oh, man. Yeah, well, I mean, let's be honest, it wasn't really a surprise this week. I sort of alluded to it last week, didn't I? But yeah, look, it's been okay this week, apart from the obvious football results. How are you doing? I mean, you had a bit of a shock of your own, didn't you?
Oh, Neil, look, I don't know if you remember when we talked about the Burnley game last week.
Yeah, you said 5-0 to Palace.
I don't think I did, actually. I went into it with hesitation. You convinced me it was going to be okay. So I think your deludedness is getting the better of you here.
Oh, mate.
I'll be honest with you. We'll go into it later, mate, but it was so bad. I was actually in a state of shock throughout the whole second half. And I think, it was my turn to text you this week and go, what the? So, yeah, but I mean, you're right, though. Brighton, not really any surprises, actually. Exactly. I mean, if you'd have said to me, tell me what you think's going to happen, do you think there'll be a last-minute goal and do you think you might get, done over at Anfield? I think I might have probably suggested that might have been the case.
Yeah.
And I think, obviously, Palace, yeah. Look, one thing's for sure, right? Neither of us are happy this week.
No.
So,
which is one silver lining, that at least you're not looking at me laughing your head off too much.
I mean, something funny is that, no jokes aside, we actually did discuss getting a counsellor on, didn't we?
We did. We honestly did. We thought, should we get some sort of psychotherapist on or something like that, But I
mean, it's not. We're not. Well, if things get even worse, we're not going to rule it out.
Still got
get
time.
Us some professional advice as to how to deal with this ridiculous set of scenarios that we're presented with every single week.
Let's get into this then, shall we? Let's just start with. Well, let's go just to this weekend, to the FA Cup. Who did you have again?
I don't think you're in a position to do this anymore.
I think
it was that's over now. And do you know what? Make the most of the fact that you've got 2 games to talk about this week, because it's the last time it's going to happen. We're back to my 2 games next week. And also, I think, I believe, as we record at 10-7 on Monday the 16th, Macclesfield have got their game tonight.
Yes.
So we're going to find out whether they are giant killers or whether we just committed suicide on the pitch. I think probably the latter, to be honest with you. By the way, did you hear, mate, just before you go into your game, did you hear that the Macclesfield players were interviewed pre their game tonight, right?
Yeah.
And one of them said, I was walking through the tunnel at half-time and I witnessed Mark Gahey and Oliver Glasner have a bust-up in the tunnel. They were shouting at each other.
Really?
How interesting is that? So, it was proper kicking off. Yeah.
I mean, I'd like to see that to some degree, but I mean, it just shows
Mark Gahey. I mean, of all people, Mark Gahey. I didn't even know he could be angry. And I mean, I would have loved to have seen that, but yeah, no. Apparently, disarray. So that makes perfect sense now. If you're having a bust up with the captain's having a bust up with their manager. The same captain that just got through the next round of the FA Cup with another team. Neil, talk to me about this wonderful day out that Albion had at Anfield. I did watch this.
Did you see the miserable seagull?
I did. In fact, I've seen a few selfies of you next to that miserable seagull.
I was next to him at the Emirates when we went to see Arsenal batter us as well.
He's quite. I'm assuming it's a he. He's quite famous now.
Wow,
been all over the socials.
It's a
social
seagull,
media this
so
week.
I'm not sure if it's a he or a she, but it's a.
Should we go for they or them?
Them. That sounds good. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, yeah. Liverpool. I mean, Liverpool. They're playing well. I suppose if I start at the beginning, let's talk about lineups a little bit. I think
Did
it
they
was
field
clear.
a strong team?
Who? Brighton or
Liverpool.
Liverpool? Yeah,
Well,
Liverpool
you were
did.
playing the first team, right?
Absolutely, yeah. The
Just wanted to
bench
clarify
had a
that.
few young kids on, but the first team were definitely out in strength. They were
Yeah.
very clear that they wanted to progress. Not so sure with Brighton, and the reason well, two changes only, right, from the Villa game, but the two changes were to bring in Harry Howell again
Yeah.
and Costulas. Now, in a normal situation with the squad that we have, it's not the end of the world. But again, it's that situation where this is all we've got left. Like, surely you want to bring a bit of experience on. You want to have like Welbeck on, Mitoma on the pitch, but no. And I think that sort of, if there are any thoughts on what the manager felt was the priority for the rest of the season, I think that probably indicated it quite clearly. And I it's fine, look, these kids have got to play and they've got to get experience. I just thought the two games that he's chosen to play them in,
Well,
it's such a strange choice.
your last ditch effort to make something of your season, just like
Yeah,
Wednesday is for us, or
it was
Thursday, I
very
think.
strange.
It's weird. It's really really weird. And I thought you guys were gonna try and give them a run for their money after the performance at Villa. And I kind of part of me thought, do you know what? You're going to give these guys a run for their money and at least show some spirit. And do you think you showed spirit? Do you think you showed a willingness?
I was just about to say, I think this is the best we're going to get. I think that is where we
Really?
are at the moment. And when you say, we're going to give them a go, I think we were giving them a go, and that's how like disappointing it was. I think it's like,
Mm,
the game went as usual at Anfield for Brighton.
yeah.
We have a lot of the ball, a fair amount, let's put it that way. Good
Well,
passing.
over half, you had 53% of it.
There you go. So, we have the ball, we pass around, really lovely passing from the back to the midfield. It looks lovely. We just don't really create too many chances. And the only chances we did create, we wouldn't be able to take. And that's really all it comes down to. The advantage is that we aren't clinical in comparison to Liverpool, who obviously are much more clinical because they have better players. But the shots, I think we had 17.
You
I mean, I
did.
didn't count 17, but 17
Only three on
apparently.
target.
Three on target, and of those three, one of them fell to Gomez, so that doesn't count. And so it's, I don't know. It just felt like a normal game at Anfield. We play some nice passing. We look like we've got lots of energy and we're passing it around. As soon as we get up to the edge of the box, who knows? What are we doing here? Are we lost? Where do we pass now? What do we do? That's what it felt like, and that's pretty much what it's felt like most of the season. The last game before that, like the Palace game, that was just
Mm.
a really poor performance, and it wasn't a poor performance on Saturday on against Liverpool. It wasn't a poor performance. It was our usual performance for this season, I would suggest.
Truthfully, though, they look, there's no way to say this where the Brighton fans aren't going to get rolled up, but factually, they were better than you, right?
Yeah.
They were a better side. They
Well,
had
yeah.
the edge, and they had the moments of brilliance. And unfortunately, you did what we do regularly at the moment, which is that, like example, that first goal, Curtis Jones was completely unmarked and ran in and had a nice free run at it. There was obviously a moment of brilliance for the second goal, and then obviously Pascal Gross thought that he was working for the WWF for the third goal. So I mean that was a calamity in itself. I'm sure you're going to talk about that, but do you know what you could do if you slowed that down and played some kind of Benny Hill music over it? It would be very infitting. It was ridiculous. The whole
It wasn't
situation.
that bad. It wasn't
It
that
was.
bad.
It
It
was.
was. It was messy. It was definitely messy. But no. Do you know what? I'm not going to break down all the goals. I'm not going to break down how we played. I'm going to be general in it on purpose because I don't want to sit here and just pull apart every little part of the game because there was clearly effort. There was
Yeah.
clearly hard work, and there was clearly a desire to want to play. I just think we are at a stage now where we have lost so much confidence that we are searching for any sort of piece of luck to go our way. And I don't think we're getting much luck either. Like the one chance that we had a really good opportunity fell to Gomez. If it had fallen to anyone else, I think we might have scored. But he is, I mean, he's a nightmare in front of goal at the moment. He really is. And I understand why he's on the pitch because he is. I mean, there's not a lot of fans that understand why he's on the pitch, but I can see it because he has huge stamina, pace, strength. He chases down the high press constantly. He's on the
Yeah.
defenders constantly, and that's why he's on there. The problem I've got is that it's all well and good being able to do that, but then when you win the ball back, Gomez is on the ball, and that's the downside because at the moment he doesn't seem to even have a clue what to do with it, and he looks ungainly, and it's strange because when we first got him into the side, he didn't look like this, and I don't know what. Again, it might be a confidence thing. I don't know what it is with Gomez, but he's certainly
Mm.
not playing to the level that I was expecting him to develop into. But then that's something I've been saying about a lot of the Brighton players this season, where you're expecting certain players to develop over the season because they're getting game time, they're getting minutes. I'm not sure we're seeing Hersler develop our players. I'm not sure we're seeing our players get better. Brighton is known in its recent history for developing young players and getting them to a level where bigger clubs want to sign them. At,
Question.
but well, look, at this moment, who are the players in our team that the big clubs are going to want to sign because they've got better this season?
Do you think, legitimate points, by the way, even for a neutral, but
You're not
do you,
neutral.
no, I'm saying even for a neutral, as
Okay.
in like your Brighton, Palace, neutral, whatever, right? Kind of factual, isn't it? It's like who are the ones that are going to get, who do Chelsea want to sign? Probably no one at the moment,
Yeah.
right? And even the ones that were linked away, Belieber and a few of the others, probably have fallen off a list now, right? But my question is, do you think that it's the development of the players that has taken a tumble under Hersler, or is it that the recruitment, this golden recruitment that you talk about with this sacred database that only certain selected clubs are, I mean, you were waxing lyrical
I know what you're
about
going to ask.
this and almost, almost smug about your recruitment and how good you were at
Get
plucking
on
off
with it,
the next
Andy.
Greek person. Is it that actually you didn't recruit very well? Do you get what I mean? So, because there's getting the people in and then there's developing them. So, like, might not necessarily be Hersler's development of these players. It might have been that the wrong ones were picked to start off with and maybe got a bit cocky.
There's certainly a lot of points there to
Thank
raise,
you.
Andy. Thank you. I won't go through them all one by one, but your general point about the recruitment. There were some articles written over the last week by Matt Law. I think he's from the Telegraph, and
Mm.
he was talking a lot about theoretically he's got some sort of rumors in the club or whatever, and he was talking about the fact that the club feel that the recruitment hasn't been as good as it wanted it to be, and that the club has left Hersler with an unbalanced squad, I think was the word they used.
Well, I think that was what they were justifying not sacking him with, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
there is that argument, and I think it is when you look at it, there is an argument to say that.
Yeah.
However, however, hang on for a sec, right? You don't have to play Weaver at right back. You don't have to send Matt O'Reilly off on loan. You don't have to send Gruder, Watson out on loan. They could
Yeah.
be playing minutes. If the other players aren't good enough and they're not in form, we could be using the younger players. Who knows what happens if you play them for 10 games in a row? Something good might happen.
Yeah.
Can't be any worse than what we're currently doing. What happens if you play Weaver in midfield? We didn't know that Carlos Baleba was going to be this much out of form. End of last season, he was literally hot property. Everyone was thinking, wow, he's going to be the next star player off the rank for Brighton. Right now, he's not in any form at all. So
Should have sold him, man. Should have sold him.
shut up. Listen, the point is that at this moment in time, there is a perfect storm of things happening. There are players that
Yeah.
are out of form. There is certainly an element of a squad that is unbalanced. But personally, I don't think that should be taken. That should then mean that Hersler gets a free ride out of this. I think there are things that he could do that could help us with our results. And that's my struggle with all of this, that the club have made a mistake, fair enough, and they've owned up to it when the recruitment. It's very rare that happens, Andy. So
Yeah.
we're going to give them that one and say fair enough. But at this moment in time, we are in a situation where we can talk about it a bit more later, the possibility of relegation and the position in the league and all this sort of thing.
Yeah.
What is more important, and this is what the board and the manager have to decide, I suppose. What is more important? We continue to try and play the way that we're playing, and we don't get results, and we're okay with that. Or we try and get results in a slightly different way to make ourselves harder to beat, and actually come up with a different plan for the short term, for the next 10 games. And we do something a little different to stop the rot, basically. And that's the question. And at present, in the last 2 games, since the Palace game, having seen Villa, having seen the Liverpool game, it doesn't look like we've changed. It looks like we're continuing to be open and expansive, continuing to do everything we can to try and score a goal, although we look clueless in the final third. And we're just as open at the back still. So it's a struggle at the moment. I understand your point, but I just think it's a mixture of all those things put together.
Mate, I get it. And do you know what? The tricky thing is, from the outside looking in, we don't know, do we? Everyone speculates as to, whose fault certain things are and who's got the biggest sway on and all that kind of stuff. But that point you've just made about the club sending out these players on loan that should be potentially playing in your team over people that have been left. And I think, is that Hörsler's decision? Surely there's someone at the club who's strategizing this. And
well, yeah, but ultimately
I think
the manager must have the final say on who he gets players wise in and out, because otherwise he would be sitting there. He would clearly be sitting there like a Glasner going, what the hell's going on? Because if he's losing players that he wants, then he would be showing that he's unhappy. I can't believe that he'd be sitting there. He doesn't get any say in the players.
Yeah, look, do you know what? I think you've put confidence in the data. And I think that mostly it's paid off for you, and you've become famous for that. But I guess it doesn't always. There is only a matter of time until you add a. You can't win you can't win them all, mate. And I feel like
agree.
you kind of have won them all, and you've kept this machine going of this conveyor belt of players that. And maybe you're in a bit of a lull at the moment, but mate, look, it's not. You know as well as I do, all you need to do, you win a game and then everything starts looking a little bit more chirpy. Question is, who's going to win the next game?
Well, Andy, we've got to score a goal first. That would be helpful. Well, we haven't scored a goal this month yet. So,
and I was thinking just before this podcast came on air, I was like, there's a lot of talk at the moment about is Hörsler going to hang on? Is he going to be allowed to stick it out to the end? And is anyone going to get brave at Brighton and make a move? And then there's a lot of Palace fans, including me, questioning Glasner, and is that the right thing to do? I wonder what the odds are. Who's more odds on to not make it to the end of our managers, do you think? Do you get what I mean? Because actually, at the moment, if someone said to me, we're going to change it up right now, I'd go twist. Right?
Well,
I wouldn't go stick. I'd go twist. And I know you'd go twist and all.
Yeah, but that's different because you're not going to have him next season for you. You know that. Yeah. My fear is that we might have him next season. My one.
That's a good point.
So that's the concern at the moment for us. I think I tell you what, I'll talk a bit more about it later because we talked about this game long enough. I think I'm not going to go on about it. We're out of the cup. We clearly showed that, we're not good enough. We're not in good form. The bad luck continued. We didn't really get any luck in that sense either. Made some poor decisions. Game over. We're out of the cup. Liverpool had 13 shots, right? 5 shots on target, and they managed to score 3 goals. Quality was just clear in that sense. So,
well, mate, that was my take on this, which is that if you looked at the stats and not the score, you would actually go, surely Brighton got something out of that. Yeah. And that's the thing. So I think the other thing that let's not take this away from the guy. Szoboszlai, mate, that goal was superb.
Oh, it was fantastic.
If you take away the fact it was against your own club,
no, it was a great goal.
Then actually it was a phenomenal goal. It was an absolute rocket.
Yeah, he's been doing that all season, hasn't he? He's fantastic. So I didn't expect much. We didn't get much. Job done. We're out of the cup. Roll on Premier League.
I'm sorry.
It is what it is. Listen, let's cheer me up. Let's talk about Palace versus Burnley, shall we?
I don't want to. I don't really
Mate,
want to.
mate,
Right.
come on.
Okay. No.
What the hell happened there?
Right. Before we do this, there's been a post on social media this week, right? On TikTok, I think, which has got quite a bit of more
Oh,
than normal,
on our
right?
Seagull Eagle account. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was it was of me questioning you about the atmosphere at Brighton. And
Yeah.
to be fair, I don't think what I said was actually that bad, right?
No, I don't think so.
All I was saying was like the Palace fans were shushing the Brighton fans because all you could hear was Seagulls at the time. And that genuinely was the case. We're not saying that the atmosphere at Brighton is always bad. What we are saying is that we reached a point as a collective where the Brighton fans were like, I'm done now, and obviously the Palace fans were treating it like an FA Cup final because and that was all it was, right? Obviously, there was a lot of people saying the North Stand fans were loud. I'm sure they were. You were just a long way away from where I was sat. All I could do was the Palace fans. But anyway, I digress. The reason that I brought this up is because I took a lot of stick right online.
You did.
I've taken a lot of stick, and I'm fine with that because this is a controversial thing.
It was a bit harsh. Some of the comments.
Well, someone said that Baldy's got it wrong or something, and I'm like, mate, come on, I'll respond better to Andy, but I'll take it. It's fine. I mean, there's a lot worse things they could have said.
There could have been,
yeah. But I think the reason I bring this up is because one of the comments that we put back on there was that obviously that post went out on Saturday. Obviously, the whole Burnley thing had happened, and it was really funny because that exact same thing happened at Selhurst Park to Palace. A matter of days after we were saying it happened the other way round, right? So what we're saying is we're on the roller coaster, people.
Yeah.
And what happens to you happens to us, and the other way around. Every now and again, we get a bit of glory, you get a bit of glory, however it works. But it was a complete role reversal at Selhurst Park where, let's be honest, at half time, the Palace players got booed as they walked off the pitch by our home fans, right? It was like a library in the second half. Not probably by design, but probably by the fact that everybody's jaws were out the floor going, what just happened?
So let's...
Yeah, if that makes the Brighton fans feel better, let it be, right? Because, well, we joined the club, right? We joined the club.
I think it's clear on this podcast that for anyone that's newly joining us, because I know we get a lot of new joiners from time to time listening in, between Andy and I, we have our beefs, yeah? But we equally understand both clubs' journeys and the fact that either of us can be horrific at any time, and each of us can be fantastic at any time. And whenever that happens, we're both fair game, and we understand that. So,
mate, absolutely, I think the great thing was that we started this podcast when Palace couldn't lose a game, so I got very used to that situation. Now, being humbled wholly. So don't worry.
So let's talk about Burnley then. Come on, talk about it.
Come on, let's go. Oliver Glasner's 100th game in charge of Crystal Palace. Yep. Playing against Burnley, which ironically was also his first fixture when he joined the club, right?
Oh my God, how special.
I know. So obviously Burnley sat second from bottom, and let's just for the Brighton fans, just to cheer you all up, Burnley's last win. Do you know when that was?
26th of October, Andy.
Yeah, against Wolves, right? And I think prior to that, they beat Leeds before that, and I think that was pretty much all they've done this season.
Oh, dear.
So, obviously, lineups-wise, we had two changes from the game at Brighton. Gessan got his starting place, which we thought he should have, above Pino. Kamada came in for Hughes, and, of course, Strand Larsen got his home debut. Well, let's talk about it. First half, I was sat there. I was well up for this game. Like, we drove down for this evening fixture, and it was just, I don't know, the car journey down there. Me and Harry were like, this is going to be good. This is going to be good. Like, and I think, in my opening thing for last week's podcast, I think my words were, "We're back," and it was only a short while that we were back for.
Well, we've gone again.
That included the first half of this game, because actually, it's really hard to say this with any conviction now, but we were bloody good for that first half of that game. We started really well, right? We had a level of confidence after that Brighton game. Sarr had his first chance after 10 minutes. We were creating some really good chances. There was composure in midfield. There was through balls. We were playing the ball over to the right to Muniz. It felt quite kind of that, when you're looking at a team and you're like, oh, they're playing with confidence, right?
Yeah.
This could, and I was still in that place, which is, this is the like Palace seemed to go on these long stretches of either winning or running. And I was like, right, well, this is another long stretch of winning then, right? Hopefully we'll have a nice surge. All good. First goal, Kamada and Walton kind of provided this lovely bit of play between them to provide the perfect assist through to Strand Larsen,
Yeah.
who controlled the ball in front of the Holmesdale, blasted it home for 1-0. And it was lovely to see, because I can't tell you, Neil, how many times I've seen that exact same scenario happen with the build-up, and then Mateta managed to spoon it into a corner flag or something. Nice to see us actually score a goal.
It was funny, actually, because when you scored that and I saw the actual replay of it, that exact thing went through my mind, which was Andy will be so happy because so many times that situation has happened. And Strand Larsen, I mean, I know he's only just started playing for Palace, but he's on a bit of a roll already. That was a wonderful finish, very clinical, and obviously he gets a second in the game as well. So I was just amazed. It was such a clinical finish, and I just thought, you know what, Andy will be so happy about this. So finally got somebody up front who can finish.
I don't want to go Mateta hating. There's plenty of people out there doing that for me. But as I said, I said to you just now, he wouldn't have scored that at the moment. Last season, he would have. But the amount of if Strand Larsen had been in this team 15 games ago, we wouldn't be sat where we are now, given that performance, the other day. Yeah. So, it's given me a belief that, when Strand Larsen joined the club, he said in his interview, bearing in mind he only scored 1 goal. So he's actually scored 2 more goals in 1 game than he scored in the whole season so far, right?
Okay.
So he did say to the interviewer at Palace that he believes that with the amount of service that he's going to get at Palace, he's confident that he's going to get things going. And he did. And it was, just a goal from open play. Poacher's goal, great positioning, clinical finishing, bring it on, right? Everyone's in party mood. They're thinking to themselves, 1 goal down, £48 million price tag. This is starting to help fulfill us with a bit of confidence.
Well, also, you're only playing Burnley, Andy, so,
Yeah, but as well as I do, Palace tend to struggle with the lower teams. This is the bit that you don't quite understand. Hopefully you're starting to get a grasp of now. But anyway, and then within 5 minutes, Burnley kind of responded and put a bit of a warning shot out. It was quite a poor shot by Fleming. They would have been equal. Like we let them through, and Fleming was clear on goal, and he spooned it. But that was kind of the first signs of actually we're up for this, but they are up for this too. They've got the ability to score. We continued to press, created some really, really nice chances. And on just around the half-hour mark, a beautiful cross in and a diving header from Strand Larsen. The XG on that, probably 0.
Great goal.
He's not meant to score that, right? And he steered it into the goal. He knew exactly where it was. Stadium went wild, mate. It was just like it used to be at the start of the season when it was all going a little bit better. Strand Larsen had arrived. Party time activated. We're back. I'm having a lovely time. Quite a lot of what are we now? 30 minutes in, whatever?
Yeah, 33 minutes, Strand Larsen's second goal. So,
2-0 up.
That
laughing,
first 39 minutes must have been amazing for you.
Yeah, and it was, mate. I was having a lovely time. I'm sat there Googling the league table, thinking, how do we get into this top 10? What needs to happen? All of that, thinking, do you know what? Thanks, Brighton, for kickstarting this. Lovely. And then only 6 minutes later, Burnley broke down the right-hand side, and, they scored a goal in the top corner. Basically caught us napping is the truth of the matter, because I think there was I wouldn't call it an arrogance at that time, but there was a level of we're 2-0 up, let's get to half time. They caught us napping, and then that goal then kind of, it's this whole thing in it when these ridiculous things happen, Neil, right? That one thing adds on to another thing and then you end up in this weird situation. And I think that's the thing.
Andy. Yeah. Momentum. It's a big thing in football.
We got caught napping, and then what then happened was it opened the game up, right? Immediately, and it turned it into kind of like an end-to-end thing very quickly, immediately. And then this utterly ridiculous. Oh my God, it's like the most ridiculous situation that I have seen happen in front of me in a very long time. And
brilliant.
Just to clarify, I don't care, and I do care. I'm not calling foul, right? I'm not calling foul. I'm
Right.
not saying that what happened was the referee's fault. Right? This is not what I'm saying. What I am saying is, what a ridiculous situation, and why did no one place the bloody whistle? But like that, so Strand Larsen's got the ball in midfield, right?
Yes.
And he gets bundled over, which is what happens regularly in football these days, right?
Yes.
Someone's gone in hard behind him, and the referees looked at him, looked at the other player, and gone, nah. And then by the time he's gone, nah, they've already moved it forward and caught us because we were just about to go for number 3. Right, that's probably where it was about to go to. So then all of a sudden the ball's going in the opposite direction. Strand Larsen's looking at everyone, going, "How is that? Sorry, what?" And then you add another situation to this where VAR decided that a ball touching the hand, in order to gain advantage, albeit accidental or not, has played Jaden Anthony in to goal, and now before we know it, we've got Jaden Anthony in a free scoring position. There we go, a goal. So them kind of 3 things all happening back to back. You're like, right, okay, so that's happened, and they are now well and truly in this game.
So to be clear, in the middle of the park when Strand Larsen went down, do you feel that was a foul?
To be honest with you, I would say flip a coin, right?
Yeah.
I would say that some referees would have given that, some wouldn't, right? But I think the point being is that it was that not being a foul, and then the immediate thing that happened literally seconds, as in the next bit of play, where you've got the handball situation, which then, of course, the next kick of the ball is through on goal and goal. So everyone from the Palace bench is like, sorry, which one of them two do you not think was something that was wrong? And then I think there was just this feeling that, rightly or wrongly, right, which was, come on, surely, like, there's going to be some kind of review on something that happened there. And clearly it was decided that there wasn't. I mean, the fact that we, collapsed like a broken deck chair
I was
and
just about to say
allowed
that.
it all to happen,
Yeah.
that is enough excuse to not argue with the ref on it. But the fact that it did, you just can't write it, mate, can you? You can't write it.
I tell you what you can't write. The fact that you were 2-0 up, they got back to 2-2 just before half-time. This is now pushing over to 45 minutes, right? Ref's just about to blow the whistle. And, and then it goes from bad, worse, to absolutely ridiculous.
Oh, mate, if you think that that's ridiculous, I mean, it just goes into a whole nother level now. 2nd minute of injury time, the Burnley take the lead. Near post header, saved by Henderson. And then, look, you add another level of calamity onto this. Henderson makes a save. Lerma takes a step back to try and defend it. Neither of them knows who's going to get that ball. Henderson gets a touch on the ball. It touches Lerma. And then it rolls really slowly and gently over that line while everyone's looking, and Henderson's face sums it up beautifully, which is what the actual. And then before you know it, 3 goals in 7 minutes. The Palace fans, Neil, went to the bar, some of them, to get a celebratory drink whilst we were 2-0 up, came back to watch the halftime challenge, and we were 3-2 down against the second from bottom team in the Premier League. Literally, I'm not even joking, mate. I didn't speak to anybody for about 20 minutes.
Oh,
I was just staring at the pitch and the scoreboard and Burnley and the Burnley fans, who quite rightly were quite as shocked as we are.
Yeah.
I don't think they, like, mate, I was walking past Burnley fans on the way home to get to my car, and they were on their way to the train station, and they were like, I've got no idea what just happened there. Also, we don't even need the 3 points. What a waste of points. Like, just the whole thing's just stupid. The whole thing's so stupid, Neil. I just don't even know.
Well,
and then what annoyed me was the boos at half time, because because I don't know, I thought we were better than that. Like, granted, it was appalling, mate. We just completely collapsed. But also, how's that going to help anybody booing them off the pitch at half time?
Well,
like, that's just self-derogatory, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I've never
How
booed.
are the players going to walk into a flipping changing room after a boo from their own fans and go, I'm up for this second half? Come on. Like, please. Oh. Anyway, honestly, and does that make you feel better, Neil? Because we've just gone through it. This is what I was trying to say about the start of it all. We've just gone through the same thing you went through last week, apart from it was worse because it was against us. But we've just lost to Burnley and we were 2-0 up.
But mate, do you know what the worst thing of all of this
Burnley!
was? The worst thing of all of this is the fact that, yes, you were 2-0 up. Yes, they managed to score 3 goals. But the worst thing of all of this, mate, was that was only half time. You had another 45 minutes to beat Burnley. And you still didn't.
Hang on though, because but this then adds a whole nother level to it, right? Because just like, you've got your problems, we've got ours, right? So our problem at the moment is that we just completely collapsed because we thought we were doing quite well. And we were, right? We played some of the best football I've seen in a while in them first 20, 25 minutes, whatever it'll be. And then all of a sudden then we end up reigniting another issue, right? We've kind of set another match alight, which is that we can't beat a low block, can we?
No.
Right.
And so, everyone's starting to know that now.
Yeah. Right. So we are renowned for the fact that if you put 11 people behind that ball, we will have untold amount of opportunities, untold amount of chances off target.
Welcome to the club, by the way.
Limited amount of chances on target. And Burnley knew that damn well. So what did Burnley do? They basically just smirked at us for the whole of the second half. They fell down every time someone touched them. They took 7 hours on every throw in. They would do it. The shithousery, mate, out of all of this was just it was ridiculous.
Okay,
and then of course we then resulted to sideways football. Don't get me wrong though. Right, we actually did come out fighting. Is the truth? We did. Right. I think it was the fact that the frustrating element to it, the psychological. Like what's just happened.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, like Muniz had a good chance, hit the side netting. Lacroix had 2 headers from corners that went close. Chance after chance went by. Johnson, Kamada, Johnson again with a curler. Like there were so many chances that we could have had to do this, but the psychological issue that we have right now of you go against a low block and there's that frustration. And of course, the fans started to turn against the team as well, right? Including me at that point, actually. And I don't like myself for that because I'm like, come on, and you can hear that when you've got 20,000 people doing it, right? You can't help. Like, and I don't want to be that guy.
I've never seen you like this, Andy. I've never seen you like this.
21 shots, Neil. 21 shots. 3 on target.
3 on target.
And we scored 2 of them.
Burnley had
21 shots, one shot on target in the second half, which was in injury time. Which to be fair was, I mean, we could have won it actually. But look, Burnley 8 shots, 3 on target, of which they scored.
Their XG 0.52, and they went away with 3 goals. Unbelievable.
Well, this is and do you know what? Right, if this game had happened in isolation. Right. Yeah. So let's say, for example, we were on our normal run of like what people know Palace to be 3 months ago.
Yeah.
And this game had happened. Everyone would have left Selhurst Park and gone, blip in the Matrix, mate. Like, what was that? Right. However, you add it to all the other stuff that's going on, and the fact that we found out this week that Glasner had a ruck in the tunnel at Macclesfield. Like, Glasner's going next year. Has he lost the dressing room? Like, and then Glasner comes out at the end of the game and goes, got asked why we lost it, and went, like, we collapsed. You know, they lost concentration, the intensity, all this, and then he decided to pin it on the fact that he blamed it on Gahey. He blamed it on Gahey and said that the man who's meant to be leading it, he had no leader on the pitch. And I'm sure Henderson would have loved to have heard that as the captain, and vice captains on the pitch and all the others, that there was no leader on that pitch. I mean, Glasner, not okay to have said that.
No.
And you could tell it as soon as he said it, you saw his eyes go, can't get himself out of this one.
Shouldn't have done that.
Anyway, mate, look, unlike Palace, right, to find themselves on the wrong end of a stat seems to be happening quite often now. Burnley are only the 5th team, Neil, the 5th team, and the first since 2009 to trail by 2 or more goals in the first half of a Premier League game, but still go into the break ahead. The
Yeah.
fifth team, the first since 2009. Once again, Palace breaking the record books for the wrong reason. So that means we're sat in 13th, one less than our joke of a 12th place that we're normally sat. But we do have an 8-point cushion onto the relegation zone. And a loss to Wolves potentially next week could really put me in a good mood. And let's be honest, you would sit here, quite rightly, and you will later on this podcast and go, it's Wolves, Andy. It's Wolves. You ain't going to lose to Wolves. That's 3 points. I will say to you, I'd rather play Man City next week, is the truth of the matter. So let's see what happens. And of course, what else have we got to look forward to? A low block midweek in the Europa League, which we'll talk about later. My question is, how long can we stay with a manager that potentially has said he doesn't want to be here? Is that a good tactic for the end of the season? I suggest potentially not, and definitely not if we get spanked twice in 1 week against 2 poor teams.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens.
Yeah, I think that's a very fair comment. That's one question that does need answering, I think. I think it's probably time we'll take a little break. We all need a bit of a breather after that rant.
Need a break, mate.
But when we come back, we'll talk about the Villa game. Also, I've got a VAR for you, Andy. I thought we'd have a little bit of fun with a VAR, very anonymous recruit game that we play on this pod quite often. So,
well, it'd be nice for a bit of VAR to actually get into action and you know,
yeah, this is the kind of VAR that's fun.
Waved on. Oh, Neil.
Right, see you in a minute.
I need a drink.
I prefer not to speak. If I speak, I will be in trouble.
What do you think is the trouble with football?
I think the trouble with football is
I hate myself for saying this, but I think this is the trouble with football. And I hate it for a multitude of reasons.
There's a few bits to unpack, and it's definitely a topic that comes up on our podcast quite a lot, and you see, you know, it comes up around football.
They're becoming like the weakest cup of tea that you've ever had. I mean, nobody's even bothering to stew the bag anymore. It's just pour the water in and slam a mug of this murky hot liquid down your neck. It's ridiculous. Let me give you an example.
And sorry to hijack the end of your podcast, because I realise that I've taken over here.
Oh no, hijack away.
Welcome back, everybody.
Yeah, welcome
I'm all right.
back.
I'm all right now. I've calmed down.
Yeah,
I've calmed down. No, I've calmed. Do you know what I've done, Neil? I've bottled that up since the game.
I can understand
And
that.
you know, like when trauma happens, you sometimes go into shock. And I'm
No, I
going through the
understand it.
stages of that.
Yeah.
And now I've come out the other side. I've gone through the anger stage. I've gone through the anger stage now. Now I'm going through the regret stages. What have I said in the public forum? And then hopefully this time next week I'll be under acceptance.
We'll see, won't we?
Yeah.
The only other game we've got left to talk about, Brighton went to Villa Park on the same night that you played Burnley. And
Yeah.
so, well, look.
That's the only thing that cheered me up, to be fair, on the way home.
This went
Ugh.
literally to script, this game. And I think the result, obviously, Albion lost 1-0, 85th minute, own goal. I mean, you know, pretty much on the line, exactly how you expect things to go when
Yeah.
your luck's out. But,
Although apparently you did do all right, though, I've heard.
Yeah,
I
that
didn't
was-
watch the whole game, so this is why I wanted to talk to you about this, because
Yeah.
the mainstream media has. I've watched the extended highlights. I did put that amount of time into this podcast
Thanks,
to do a
Andy.
bit of research,
Appreciate it.
not just the the goal.
That's great. of you,
but
thanks.
But obviously what we didn't see was, because obviously when you watch a 1-0 lot of highlights, you don't really get that much, do you? But
No.
like I from what I gather, you did put up a fight and you did show some form of resilience in this game, and actually it was almost deemed as a bit of a smash and grab by Villa at the end. Is that the
Oh.
opinion of this that you would take?
I would say that I think that's fair. I think this is definitely the more positive of the games we've played in the last few weeks, right? So we had Veltman back at right back, and
Okay.
we had Matoma and Welbeck in their normal places. And it just looked like a more mature side out there, obviously. And I think the first half it was a relatively dull affair. I think both teams, because Villa themselves had been on a little bit of a poor run. They hadn't won many games at home recently. And I think they were a little bit nervous as to what might happen on the day. And so I think it was a very sort of ginger start where both teams were sort of feeling each other out and not really wanting to attack too much. Brighton certainly were relatively defensive over the first sort of 30 minutes, I'd say.
I call it a scrappy affair.
Oh,
Neil,
yeah.
Because I believe that's
fair.
probably a good descriptive word for this.
I think that's very fair. I think the only thing I would call out, right, apart from it being a dull affair, the only other thing was Carlos Baleba running around like taking lumps out of people early. Right?
Oh, okay.
So early, and so much so that the ref gave him a yellow card in the second minute, Andy.
Do you think that he was making up for the fact that he didn't do that in the Brighton Palace game and that he maybe took a bit of stick for that? So he's like, I'm going to prove everybody wrong. I'm going to get sent off in 2 minutes.
So this is one of the things that I think a lot of Brighton fans will say about Carlos Baleba, which is he's a very young kid. We know he's had his problems this season with his performance levels and possibly struggling therefore mentally, like anybody would when you're not doing as well at work than you hope for. And I thought that maybe this was exactly what you just described, Andy. He came out trying to be all positive, trying to really push and do his job really, really well. But he overstepped the mark and was too aggressive too early on. Yeah. And he got booked, as I say, within the second minute, which caused a real problem because for the next sort of 5, 10, 15 minutes, honestly, the yellow card didn't seem to deter him. He just carried on and he was late to a couple of tackles. He got caught caught players here or there. So much so that Hursley didn't really have a choice. He actually subbed Carlos Baleba off the pitch on 22 minutes, an old-fashioned hook out of the pitch and say, no, you can't be trusted for the rest of the game. So 22 minutes is how long Carlos Baleba lasted. I felt really bad for him, but at the same time, it's like, what was he supposed to do?
I mean, we had this same problem with the Burnley game with our wingers both getting booked. And then, of course, you end up with this situation where they can't commit and you can't throw yourself about because you're going to affect the whole game. So, yeah, mate, it's all of small margins, isn't it? It's small margins. One thing that did annoy me about this game, though, before you go into your full review, is that I felt a little bit like, just as an overview of the situation, I felt that this was less of a Premier League game and more of a Milner testimonial game, a celebration of the old man. And even Hursley's post-match interview, he focused on the fact that what a great occasion it was.
Well, no, I think that's
as
unfair.
To,
no, that's not fair, Andy.
Well,
he focused on that because that was the questions that he was asked. Because again, the reporters, the only narrative they had of the whole game was James Milner. Yeah, you're quite right. He came on in place of Carlos Baleba for a record equaling Premier League appearances of 653. And yeah, that's great. It's great. Congratulations to him. Hopefully, one more game and then we can stop bloody talking about it because it's been the only thing that reporters want to talk about when it comes to Brighton recently. Apart from literally in the last sort of 24 hours, 48 hours, I've seen a few reporters now starting to talk about Brighton's identity, Andy, and what their DNA is and how their style of play is. Finally, reporters are starting to realise that there's something to talk about. That
isn't just they've listened to our podcast, mate. That's what it is.
There you go, mate. That's all it is. That's all it is.
I'm glad that Milner had a good day out and all that, but also I feel like there might have been a few more important things to have sorted. But
well, the important things are that I'm going to be relatively positive here, Andy, and say that for the majority of the game, yes, it was dull first of all, but actually I'm okay with dull if it means we don't concede any goals, right?
Yeah.
And for the majority of that game, I thought we were relatively compact, constructive. We had a plan of sorts, right? We worked really hard. We passed the ball relatively well. In the second half, we got to the point where we were actually a little brighter. We had a few opportunities. We took shots. We opened up a little bit without going crazy, without actually being too gung-ho and sort of trying to do everything we possibly can to score. And I thought, of all the games to follow the Palace game, where I won't go over it again. We know what happened in the Palace game,
we
but
can talk about it if you
we
want.
don't need to. But my point in the Palace game, like a lot of people, seemed to be a lack of effort, and a real concern that maybe they'd lost faith in the manager. What I would say with this game was it wasn't that bad. Yes, it wasn't brilliant, but it was a lot better. You know, there were seeds of progress, and it's only one game, so I'm not going to go over the board. But what I would say is, at least it was positive, you know, and it was only for the sake of Villa. Well, it wasn't Villa, was it? It was Jack Inchelwood's shoulder.
Well, I
you
was
know.
going to say you stole my line there, because I was going to say about the fact that you didn't want to let them score against you. Technically, they didn't. You scored it yourselves.
No.
So
Honestly, a 0-0 would have
yeah.
been the right result, I think. I think both teams would have taken that probably even before the game as well. And I think it just... the own goal was just the icing on top of a very poor week for Brighton, I think. And it was a real struggle.
I think you did. You dominated that second half.
Yeah.
To be brutally honest, and I think it was. The neutral would say you probably should have got at least a point out of that. I think Villa were very lucky to come out of that.
Oh, you're
But then
absolutely right.
You add the Liverpool game onto the calamity of that week, and then you kind of go, oh, okay, yeah, you still get your problems. So
It is. But what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to, you know, for many, many weeks, months, Andy, you and I have sat here and talked. And when the conversation comes to Brighton, I've talked about the fact that the points aren't that important to me. It's about the way that we play.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to
Identity.
stick with that. And I'm going to continue to say that that's what's important to me. And what I would say is for the Villa game, I felt like there was a little bit more of an effort when it comes to tactics, a bit more of a cohesiveness. Wasn't much, but it was a little bright spark. The problem is that was followed on by a Liverpool game where, you know, yes, we played well to some degree, but again, the same issues popped back up. And so, you know, I think our season is going to be constantly like this, where we have a little bit of an upturn of something, and then we don't get the result, or we don't get luck, you know, the luck or whatever.
Well,
So,
do you know what though? I think it's that thing in it, and it's like potentially if Palace don't make it any further in the Europa League, say for example, we'll have the same problem. It's that moment of realization in your season where you go, we ain't winning anything. And also, we're miles away from where we need to be in the league to get to Europe. So it's kissing goodbye to the dream for next year. And I think that is the moment that you've had this week, which is things ain't great at the moment. You've just lost to Palace. You know, you haven't won in, well, I don't know what the stats are now, but
it's like 1 in 12 or 13 now or something. Yeah.
But I think the fact that you're now out the FA Cup, and I think a lot of Brighton fans probably would have taken, and quite rightly taken, the fact that Palace's embarrassing exit and you were still in it. Wouldn't it be lovely to keep that one going? And I mean, that's the biggest boot that you could have ever stuck into us, to go on and win that. So I guess that's the issue, isn't it? It's the closing of the door to any form of success this year. What you're saying is you're settling for mediocrity now for the rest of the season, and the best you can hope for is to probably get into the top 10.
I was just about to say, actually, that's the best. So when I'm hoping for mid-table at the moment, but the way we're playing, you know, and the luck that we haven't got is not great at the moment. You know, I don't rely on luck. I think you make your own luck a lot of the time, and I don't think we've deserved a lot out of the games. The Villa was the first time in the last few weeks where I felt, do you know what, we probably should have got a point out of that. But we've drawn like 10 games this season, and I was looking at. We've got obviously Brentford this weekend, and I was looking at the sort of the points differences between the two sides, and actually the biggest difference between Brentford and Brighton's results this year are really the scoring of the odd goal, and you know, their draws compared to our draws, they've turned their drawing games into wins, and we've conceded goals, and that's where it comes down to. It's very fine margins, as Fabian Herzl loves to say every week, but I do understand that. But when you are on the wrong end of those fine margins week after week, you expect to see something different, and I'm not seeing that yet. Look, I'm not going to go over it again, but I was looking at the table, obviously, and trying to work out what we've got left to go games-wise, right? We've got 31 points currently. We've got a maximum of 36 points available to us. But ultimately, when you look at the teams below us and the way it's looking, I still don't think we're in a relegation battle, obviously. But as I said last week, it depends how long this current trend carries on for. But I think we need another 7 or 8 points out of all of the points available to make sure that we're okay. And I think that's where we are at the moment.
Just to remind you, though, that if either of our two clubs aren't in a relegation battle and Leeds manage to scrape it out, i.e. they're sat in 15th at the moment and continue to stay out of it, and either West Ham or Burnley, I mean, Burnley have got 3 points now. I mean, you never know where that's going to take them. But West Ham continue their upward turn. Bearing in mind they've won 3 and drawn 1 in their last 6, right? Which that would then mean that either Tottenham or Forest are going down if we're not.
Crazy. Isn't it?
So I'm with you, mate. I do think that there is enough of a cushion, but also you've got to start looking and going, hang on. You look at the fixtures, and I think, truthfully, I think you've got harder fixtures than we have into the back end of the season.
Yeah.
We've still got Arsenal's play at the end and all that. And then, of course, you add into the fact that Palace have got Europe, which is going to potentially demoralise us even further, and injuries and all the other bits and pieces coming forward. I don't know. I would be very surprised if one of us isn't nervous going into the back end of the season.
Mate, I'm still nervous. I mean, I just think I keep looking at it, thinking to myself, where's the next points coming from? And that's my concern, But I still think at this precise moment in time, I'm still erring on the side of we'll be fine. But let's see where the we'll be fine thermometer comes now over the next couple of weeks, because that might be moving a little bit more towards, oh my God, Andy, it's happening. We'll see.
Let's wait and see, mate. All I know is that if we don't beat Wolves next week, then there's going to be problems.
Right, let's have a bit of fun. Let's
go on, Neil. Cheer me up, mate.
Let's have a bit of this.
VAR.
Who are you?
Welcome to VAR, Very Anonymous Recruit. The Seagull Eagle guessing game that we haven't played for a while, Andy, but I thought I'd bring it back, okay? Where you're
excited, Neil. Come on. Come on, bring it on.
Right, for those that don't know, you have to try and guess the mystery footballer hiding in plain sight. This week, I am the quiz master, which means that Andy becomes the confused wreck trying to guess who it is. Now, he has to try and guess a Crystal Palace player. Now, I've got 5 clues lined up, and just like any sort of good tactical battle, it starts off tight and cagey, but opens up as we go. So, the easier the clues will become as we go through. Right, are you ready, Andy?
Yeah, do you know what I'm going to do, Neil? I'm going to, because we've evolved this since we started this on episode 2 or whatever we started doing. I'm going to WhatsApp you with the answer.
Got it. I've got it.
Okay, so that everybody else at home can play along. And also, I don't want everyone to think I'm that stupid that I won't get it till the end. Although I am actually quite scared about this.
Or you're going to Google it, but please don't. Right, here we go.
I won't Google it.
Okay.
No. Right, go on.
So, clue 1 for everyone listening and watching, plus yourself, Andrew. Here we go.
Come on, Palace fans.
This player was born in October 1994.
Oh, God.
That's it. That's all you get.
Is that all you're giving me?
Yep.
Right. Okay. 94, which makes him 22. Is that good?
What's your maths like, Andy?
Not very good. No, he's 32. He's 32.
There we go. Got there in the end.
Right.
Okay.
Mate, I do a lot of maths. I deal with a lot of money at work. That isn't good, is it?
It wasn't a good start.
Okay.
No. Any good guesses, or do you want to leave
Right.
it?
32. Okay.
You've narrowed it down. Come on.
Who have we got in the squad that's aging? Klein.
Okay.
Maybe.
Is that your guess? I thought you were going to WhatsApp me if that was your guess.
Well, no, I think that's I'm putting it out there to the world because that's a ridiculous clue, and
Should we move on then?
Just one little thing. So let's move on to number 2, and we'll see if that is the case.
Clue number 2. He played his first game in the Premier League in 2018.
First game, but it didn't say for Palace. So Neil's a slippery one. So that. But obviously, he did start at Palace. If it's Klein, 32.
Right, I'm going to move you on.
Klein might be older than that. Keep going.
Okay. Clue number 3. Before coming to the Premier League, he played in La Liga. for Levante.
Oh.
Oh, says Andy.
Played a Liga for Levante.
Oh my God, are we going to get to clue 5? Right, here we go. Clue 4. You ready? Clue
go on.
4. He signed for Crystal Palace in July 2023, and in his first season came second in the club's Player of the Season awards.
Oh, really?
So he signed in July
July
2023,
2023.
and he became it was second for Player of the Season.
Ooh. I think I might have overlooked someone.
All right,
And I'll tell you why
go
I've
on.
overlooked them. Because I don't see them as that age.
Okay, well, don't forget you got to message me, not like don't say it out loud because I want to go to clue 5 in case anyone else hasn't got a
Right,
clue
I'm
yet.
messaging you now.
You got it. You think you've got it? Yeah, you're going to lock it in.
Can you hear the typing?
Go on then. WhatsApp me.
There you go. I've WhatsApped you. So,
That's annoying. Yes, congratulations, Andy. You have it correct on clue 4. So clue 5, just to be clear, he has over 60 appearances for the Colombian national team. Was clue
yes,
5.
you could have just started with that.
Well, then they would have been too easy. So,
do
you want to tell everyone who it is?
It's Lerma. And do you know
Congratulations, well done.
what? Honestly, I just don't see him as being that age because he's still kind of throwing himself around there. I also didn't realise that he started at Levante.
Yeah, I know.
didn't
Well, he didn't
realise
start, but yeah, that was when he came from Colombia. They went to Levante first, then he went to Bournemouth in
I was going to say because we signed him from Bournemouth,
Yeah,
right? Because that's my knowledge goes from there. Like we got him from Bournemouth,
That's right.
and that's kind of where I'm at. But
Yeah.
I didn't know that, mate. I'm not going to lie to you. I've learnt something today.
Well, there you go.
And fair play, Lerma. You got me, man. So what was
Okay.
that? The fourth
That
clue.
was clue 4. Yeah, sorry.
That's bad, isn't
bit
it?
bit low, that one. Yeah, that was a tough one.
Well,
though. I think that was
do you know
tough.
what? I think Palace fans, you're going to have to let me know on the social media if you got it quicker than me. I think
Yeah.
most probably would have. Is the truth. Sorry,
And
I
that,
feel like I've let everyone down, Neil.
and that,
Mostly myself.
oh my God. And that was VAR.
Who are you?
Right then, so before we go, let's have a quick squiz at the games ahead because there's a really important game for your lot this week that we probably should touch on. You've got Conference League playoff, and then on the weekend we've got 2 Premier League games. But let's talk about UEFA Conference League first.
Yeah, we've got Zrinski. Oh, mate, I can't do this. Zrinski Mostar.
That's right. Yeah. So it's Zrinski.
I need to be more enthusiastic, don't I?
Yeah.
Zrinski Mostar.
That's it. Yeah. Well done.
So, thank you. Pretty much fluent now. Yes, that is on Thursday. It's an early one, actually.
It's
Palace
away
fans.
first, isn't it?
Well, it's away first.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's 5:45 kickoff in the UK.
Okay.
So that's going to be interesting because I'm meant to be coaching my son's football team at that exact point, mid-game. In fact, it's an actual game that he's playing. So can I do coaching with an earpiece in, listening to the football? Is that all right?
Perfectly fine. It's very acceptable.
Yeah.
The refs do it. It's fine.
Absolutely. Maybe it could look like we've got new technology and everyone will be like, anyway, look, Bosnian club. They finished 23rd in the league phase, collecting 7 points from 6 games. Not too dissimilar to our dismal form, to be brutally honest.
It was
in
a
the
very
league.
tight group, wasn't it, really?
Yeah. I mean, we only just missed out on all to qualifying, didn't we? But yeah, 23rd they were. Winning the playoffs would obviously see us face, is it Mainz 0-5 or another rematch against that classic Holiday Airport team, AEK Larnaca, to be embarrassed twice in a round of 16.
It'll probably be Mainz, though, won't it, really? The German side, I would imagine they'll go through against Larnaca because it's only Larnaca. No one loses to them, so...
Well, I mean, it's a nice low block and all that. Well, do you know what? Funny enough, we talk about low blocks. This team we're playing, who I won't try and pronounce again, they love a low block when playing in Europe. They play two different styles. They play in the Bosnian league. They play a bit more forward fronting, attacking, and obviously they're well known for the effect they have there. But when they play in Europe, they like to sit back. So I can't wait for this one. And do you know what? The fact of the matter is that the pain and the misery is going to be spread over two legs, resulting in me crying in my seat in the main stand at Crystal Palace, probably with a protest afterwards, I would imagine, by that point, if it happens. But look, no, jokes aside, I'm really hoping. Look, this is all we've got now. This is what we've got to play for, and this is Glasner's glorious big finale exit. Like, if we muck this up, like, he has got a full squad to pick from, Neil. Right?
I was just about to ask.
And he's still moaning about people that aren't there anymore. But he's got options for days, right?
Well,
options for days.
I think the other thing is that the whole sort of banana skin concept, I think it goes out the window a lot when you've got two legs. I think that's a big difference for you guys. I think you've got the opportunity. Yeah, okay, you may play rubbish in one game, but you've got another game to play as well. And you're away first, so you've got the home leg to come afterwards as well. I think you'll be fine. Come on. I mean, you've got at least if you keep a clean sheet away from home, that's all you really worry about, isn't it?
I think you'll be fine. Oh, come on. That's exactly what you said against Burnley. Look, my prediction is a 1-0 win for Palace. Just for pure dignity and pride. Let's see what happens. Do you know what? If we could hack a low block, man, then that competition is ours. The fact that we can't makes me think that we're deluded to think we're going to get any further in this competition. Don't get me wrong, Palace fans. I would love us. No, I would love nothing more than me clambering to try and get a ticket to that final and going on 27 modes of transport, including a donkey to get there. I would love it. But
all right, Kevin Keegan.
As it stands at the moment, I just can't see it happening. But I hope that I at least want the excitement of getting knocked out on penalties or something like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So let's see what happens.
You'll
Positivity. Positive vibes, people. Positive vibes. It's going to be fine.
Roll on to the Premier League on the weekend.
Yeah.
So Albion, they have a Saturday 3:00 kickoff. They are away.
Oh, that's rare.
Yeah, they are away at the G-Tech Stadium. They are playing Brentford, as we talked about a minute ago. So Brentford are in a pretty good form at the moment.
Was it 1-3, lost 2, drawn 1?
Yeah, the last 3 games are unbeaten. Obviously, they've scored lots of goals. They've done really well. They're sitting in 8th, I think, are they at the moment?
7th now, Neil. Keep up, please.
9 points ahead of Brighton. A long way difference, really, from that perspective. And as I say, 2 wins and a draw in the last 3. The games against Brentford at Brentford haven't been great for Albion. The last one, if you remember, Andy, last season was João Pedro's last game for Brighton when he got sent off, if you remember, in his little huff
I do.
that he had. Yeah, I thought you might remember that one.
What do you think is going to happen?
I don't see us getting anything. I don't see anything changing currently. I would be very pleased with a draw. I'd be very pleased with a point away at Brentford. I think a lot of teams would be very pleased with the point at the moment.
Do you know where a point would bring you? Above us if we lose?
Well, yeah, we'll see about that, won't we? The main thing I think is that I would like, again, to start seeing some better play and hopefully see a little bit of shoots of regeneration and some sort of upturn in the way that we're playing. But at the moment, who knows, mate? I'm not going to bother predicting, really. I just hope that something works well. Tony Bloom won't be in the director's box as usual. He'll be in with the fans because he never does that at Brentford because of a long-running history, let's put it that way, with the Brentford chairman. So
was he falling out with him? Did he take a bad bet or something?
Long story, but the short version is many, many years ago they worked together, and I think actually the chairman of Brentford worked for Tony, and then he went off on his own ways and tried to do what Tony does with his data and all that sort of stuff. And I don't think that the friendship ended well. So
Tony's probably jealous of him up in 7th place, right?
It's one
They're
season.
doing all right, aren't they, at the moment, Brentford?
One season. Who have you got then? You got obviously the Sunday. I presume you're the 2:00 kickoff. Are you on the Sunday?
Well, yeah. I mean, look, yes, we are the 2:00 kickoff on Sunday.
Yep.
we've got Wolves, who, they're on 9 points, Neil. They're on 9 points. They've got a minus 32 goal difference. I mean, they've let in 48 goals and scored 16. They've lost 19 games. They've won one game. Can't tell you who that was, but they've won one game for the whole of the season. And they're up against the mighty Palace in their glorious form after just being beaten by the team just above them, albeit with quite a few more points, Burnley. If we do not win this, there is no way that Glasner is surviving.
You reckon?
No way. No
Really?
way.
Even with the second leg of the Conference League to come, you don't think they'll keep him?
If we don't get anything out of if it's a 0-0 draw or something in the Conference League and we lose to Wolves, there will be uproar. And I think quite right, because, again, I don't want to take anything away from the guy. Like, he is our most successful manager, and I loved him while he loved us. Now he's said what he said, and he's done what he's done.
I think it's going to be really difficult for your players to play for him for the rest of the season as well, isn't it?
Well,
That's
this is
the
the
problem.
point, mate.
Everyone
Do you
knows
know what?
now.
Neil, you've got to take the emotion out of this, right? And this is factual, which is that football is the here and now.
Yeah.
And if you get emotional about managers and all the other bits and pieces that go along with it, then actually it's not going to help you long term. And the fact of the matter is that he wants to move on. And we've got this whole kind of like, do you want to leave? No, I ain't going to leave because I want my money. Do you want to sack me? Because I'll take the money. Well, no. You crack on, mate. You win us this is where we're kind of at right now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's not good for anybody. It's just not good for anybody. And I'm not digging him out. I don't hate the guy. Like, you don't have to hate someone. Like, I will never be anti-Glasner because he's done enough for me to be up there. And he is, undoubtedly, he created the most wonderful moments for us, mate. But the reality is he helping us right now? I don't think he is. Right? I don't think he is. And I think that you put any other manager into that dugout for the remaining games, potentially might get more out of this if it's not a drastic change in formation and philosophy. So all I'd say is, if we cannot beat Wolves, there are big problems at the club because he has got all of the players at his disposal, bar a couple of long-term injuries. Like, he's got everything to choose from, right? So if you can't make that work against a team that are the whipping boys, the only team that are the whipping boys of the league, then it is time to move on. So I ask you, Oliver Glasner, can you beat the lowly Wolves? Because if you can, stick around. If you can't, maybe time to move on, my friend.
And that's it for this week on Seagull Eagle. Thank you for listening.
Make sure to follow the show so you don't miss the next episode. I've got a feeling it's going to be a corker.
You can find us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook and X. So just search Seagull Eagle and get the conversation started.
Drop us an email if you want to. seagulleaglepodcast@gmail.com.
But until then,
Seagulls! Eagles! Come on, Brentford.
come on, Wolves.